Hi, I'm Veronica, and today I'm going to show you a short sequence for the shoulders, for the mobility in the shoulders. So we're going to begin with drawing some circles with the shoulders, and that is the combination of 4 movements of the shoulder coming forward, of the shoulder coming up, of the shoulder coming back and down. So if you think of joining those 4 dots and combining into one fluid motion, you're going to create a circle, and we're gonna move backwards. So it doesn't really matter how fast is this movement, but preferably it should be a little bit slower. But what really matters is the fluidity. So there might be some moments where you feel that something is jumping over or feeling stuck. If you slow down and go through it again, it might become a little bit more fluid. And it's nice to compare those 2 shoulders. So you can begin the movement with one shoulder, do a couple of circles, and then start the same with the other one. So it's that movement of going forward, of going up, going back, and of going down. Those 4 points you later join into one circle. And it's quite important to move from the shoulder itself. So do not confuse it with moving the arm. The arm is quite relaxed. There might be quite a difference between one and the other shoulder. It's interesting to compare. And you can stay still for a moment, and then you could add that movement of swimming, backstroke, moving from the shoulders and from the shoulder blades, keeping the rest of the body quite still. But you could also make it a much bigger movement that you initiate from the elbows, and then it adds the movement of the entire torso, of the rib cage, maybe even the neck, and your shoulder blade start gliding on your back. You could even change the direction, moving the elbow as much forward and on the diagonal as possible, and allowing the upper body to follow. And then release. Now you can interlock the fingers, turn the palms down, and lift the palms above the head. So you want to keep the head exactly where it is, above the pelvis, and it's only the hands that are moving above the head. And when you make the circular movement, you're going to notice that the shoulder blades slide and glide on your back. Great, and then you can release. Now you can move the arms out to the sides, and let's explore the movement of rotating the entire arms, but coming from the shoulders, not just the forearm, but from the shoulders, rotating the whole arms inward and then outward. There might be some reaction from the upper spine and from the chest, but you're focusing mostly on the movement of the arms and shoulders. Once you get hold of this movement, you could now start rotating one arm inward and the other one outward simultaneously. And add to that the movement of the head, so that when the palm turns up towards the sky, you're turning the head to face it. and then release. And at any point you start feeling that your arm muscles get tired, you could start releasing them by shaking. Okay. Good. And also, whenever your seated position stops being comfortable, you can always change it. Okay. So let's carry on with the next movement, which is a little bit more complex. So it actually begins with the wrist. It's the rotation of the hand, keeping the wrist in contact with the thigh. So there will be a moment when the back of the hand touches the thigh, and then it's the palm that is facing the thigh. And obviously that movement travels up the arm to the shoulder. Now you could lift that palm off the thigh and continue with the same rotation, starting with the wrist but traveling up the elbow to the shoulder itself. Now the continuation of this movement will be moving the shoulder, the arm backwards, so that the elbow stays relatively close towards the body and the palm turns up. So it's the rotation in the air and then reaching back, and mostly with the arm there will be a little bit of opening in front of the shoulder. You could repeat it a couple of times to get used to it. Okay, and now let's try a different movement. That's a movement of drawing a circle, a large circle above your head with the fingertips. So you're drawing that large circle above you. You could try it a few times. And then the continuation of this movement is reaching with the elbow towards the opposite leg. So again, you could give it a try. Circle above the head and reaching with the elbow towards the opposite leg. So there's this spiral going through the entire upper body. Once you know those two, you can combine it all in one sequence. Drawing that circle with the wrist, reaching back, and then drawing a big circle above the head, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter, and then reaching to the opposite limb, and then coming from there to reaching back. So I could do it in any sequence, repeating any times you wish. A couple of circles above the head and reaching across, a couple of circles with the wrist and reaching back. You could start with reaching back, or you could start with drawing circle above you. Doesn't matter. So you could play with these two movements as many times as you wish. And if you don't get it exactly as I'm doing it, it doesn't matter, so long as you feel this mobility going through the entire arm, shoulder, wrist, the whole limb. Okay, and then you could just stay for a moment to feel the difference between one side of the body and the other before you change. It's best to begin with those circles of the wrist on the thigh so that you understand this movement better. Starts with the wrist, moves through the elbow to the shoulder, and then you could lift the hand off the thigh to continue in the air. And the continuation of this movement is reaching with the arm back, but keeping the elbow bent and relatively close to the body. You could repeat it a couple of times for your body to remember. Great. So now that second part, drawing a large circle above the head, and then maybe reaching with the elbow towards the opposite limb. Drawing a large circle above the head and reaching with the elbow towards the opposite limb. Okay, now let's combine the two. We're gonna begin with little circles with the wrist reaching back, and then large circle above the head, 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter, and going with the elbow towards the opposite side. And one more time, we're gonna start with the wrist, reach back, and large circle above the head, 1, 2, or 3, and go across. You could repeat as many times as you wish, so long as you feel that this movement travels through the whole arm and through entire torso. It's all good. It doesn't need to be exactly the same. And then release. Wonderful. So this is my little mobilizing sequence for the shoulder. I hope you can feel the difference now. You could finish with bringing the shoulders up towards the ears, and then on the exhale, slowly releasing them away from the ears.